What it do, man? Y'all know the vibes. You woke up this morning and damn it, you already won. I hope you are doing something right now that your future self will thank you for. It's your boy Earl of Pearl and the official co-host of the Ultimate 216 show, Cecil Shorts, is back in the building. What up, coach? How you feel today?
Yeah, I'm good, big dog. A lot going on in Browns world, but I'm good, man. What's up with you?
A whole lot going on in the Browns world. I'm good, man. Power outage across Northeast Ohio yesterday, 2 days ago.
Oh
I
wow.
ain't probably had no power until about 1 o'clock the next morning. I don't know what happened. I heard it started out in Parma, but somehow it made its way out Euclid and beyond. It was just crazy. Some people had power, some people didn't. But outside of that, man, you see, I got the Warrensville gear on.
Uh-oh.
The playoffs have started. Warrensville versus Brush tonight at Canton McKinley High School at 8 o'clock p.m. If you are not busy, if you are not working, man, pull up. It should be a great game. The Warrensville Lady Tigers are very motivated. Yana was very quiet on the ride to school this morning. She didn't want
Locked
to
in.
talk. Yeah, she
Yeah.
was already locked in, and it was all business, man. Speaking of all business, listen, like, subscribe to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show YouTube page. Use this QR code right here, man. And if you are already subscribed and you know somebody who's not, go ahead and slide that on to them. We're trying to get to 100,000 lifetime subscribers to our YouTube page. Make sure you ring the bell so you can stay in the know of when all the spinoff shows go live, including your favorite show, the Ultimate 216 show. So make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you can stay into the know. All right, let's get into it. So, the official new league year starts on next Wednesday, March the 11th at 4 p.m. The legal tampering period actually starts on the 9th, I believe. Let me look this up to make sure I got this right. Yeah, it starts on the 9th at 12 o'clock noon and runs through the 3:59 p.m. on March 11th. That is the period where clubs are permitted to contact and enter into contract negotiations with certified agents of players who will become unrestricted free agents upon the expiration of their 2025 player contracts. Before we get into guys that are on our personal wish list, you were fortunate enough to play in the NFL long enough to become a free agent and have the opportunity to pick your next destination and get you some big money coming off that rookie contract. Give our audience, give the fans some behind the scenes looks at what goes into the process of you're a free agent. How, like, are you flying city to city to meet with these different teams? Is your agent handling that? Like, what goes on with an NFL player when they're a pending free agent looking for a new team?
So it really starts at the combine, right? Where all 32 teams will be there. So your agents are all there and they're talking to every team. Are you interested in Earl? Are you interested in Earl? Hey, Earl, this team likes you. This team doesn't. This team interested. So it's like constant communication. So they leave the combine not only helping their rookies, talk to them and see where they want to get drafted and talk to different people, but they're free agents as well as far as the agents, seeing who likes them, where they may end up, where's the best situation for them. So they may get a list of guys that say, hey, teams that are listed, that are interested. It's like, hey, between these 6 teams, what's the best fit for us, right? Who's probably going to give us the most money? Who has the most cap space? What quarterback is here? What defensive coordinator is here? So it just depends on a match, right? So you get that list, and now you're thinking, what's the best match for yourself? Where can you get the most money? Where's the best opportunity? Where do you want to live? Like, if you're married with kids, do you want to go to Washington, D.C., where it's cold? Do you want to go to Cleveland, where it's cold? Do you want to go to Miami, where it's temptation? Like, where do you want to go?
That's just being real, though.
Hey, it's just depending, you know what I
Just being
mean?
real. Let's keep it at 100, though.
Hey, it is what it is. So it's a lot that goes into it. Like, if you're a single man, you're probably thinking more about money and opportunity to play. If you're a married man with a family, it's probably more that goes into it, right? It's just a lot that people don't think about behind the scenes. Like, dang, do I really want to live here? Do I just want to buy an apartment there? Should it just be something low key? While during the season I'm there, and out of season I'm really living in wherever I'm from, right? So it is so much that goes into it. A lot of it's out of your hands. If you're a big time guy, you'll have your choice of picking. If you're, I'll say big time and maybe second or third tier. But if you're a lower tier guy, you are kind of like this, seeing who's interested, who's going to give you a shot to play, right? Always trying to prove yourself. So it's a fun time period, but it's just a kind of an overwhelming time as well. So this week right now, and probably leading up until next Wednesday, you'll hear a lot of rumblings. There'll be a lot of trades already happening, a lot of trades, people opening up cap space, people trying to get ahead of the game because maybe the market for receivers is not very good or the market for offensive linemen is not very good. Let's go trade for one, right? So you're watching all that stuff going on as a free agent, and you're like, dang, that's good for me. Oh, that's not so good for me, right? Also, you got to think too, I'll never forget when I was coming out of Jacksonville as a free agent, and teams around, there's a good amount of teams that were interested. They knew exactly how many times I was on an injury report. They will hold that against you. I'm like, well, I still played, and at 90% of those games, like, well, you were on an injury report, X amount of percent, and that's why we're only offering you X amount of dollars. And I'm like, oh, that's crazy. Like, everything goes into it. They're trying to spend as least amount of money as they can, but they still want you to get on board. They still want you to get on board. So, yeah, it's a crazy situation, man. Honestly, it's like a second draft day for a lot of guys because you get to that point and now you've earned the right to get a bigger contract than your rookie contract, right? So it's a pretty cool thing.
So for you, when you was going through the process, you ended up with the Houston Texans, but before you even, put pen to paper and you signed that contract, did the list of teams you had in your mind kind of align with the teams that was interested for you? Like you ended up playing, in a state to where there's no state income tax.
Yep.
The weather is good. I'm pretty sure the food scene is pretty damn good. So, just us up here who knew you, we kind of looked at like, man, you won twice. You get drafted to Jacksonville and even being a 4th round pick, we know with the no state tax, you get to keep most of your money.
Yep.
So, you come out, first of all, anytime somebody from our area gets the opportunity to sign a contract as a free agent and you get to put millions behind that, man, that's a blessing just to say like, hey, I know that person, right? Regardless if it's 2 million, 22 million, 232 million, right? Like that is a substantial amount of money that can change the fortunes of your family forever if you do it right. So before you even got to Houston, like what were some of the teams that you was interested in and who ended up being interested in you outside of the Houston Texans?
Man, that's a good question. So I wanted to go somewhere with I want to go somewhere with stability, right? Because in my Jacksonville years, I had my 4 years there. I had 3 head coaches, 3 offensive coordinators, 3 to 5 quarterbacks. It was just a lot going on. So I'm like, man, next place I want to go, I want to be stable with the guy at quarterback, right? And I had some to me, I love my quarterbacks. So I had Chad Henne, Blaine Gabbert, Blake Bortles, right? I had those guys there, and I love them to death because they were trying to feed me. So I appreciate it. As a team, we just weren't that good. That's what it was, right? But I want to go somewhere stable. So at one point, I was close to getting traded to. Well, I know the Patriots reached out for me during the season, my 4th year in Jacksonville. So I was like, hey, I'll go play with Tom Brady. Absolutely. Like I'll go play with Andrew Luck at the time with the Colts. I'll go play with Russell Wilson at the time with the Seahawks. I'll go play with anybody that has a quarterback that's stable and an organization that's a winner, right? So those were the ones that popped in my head. And those 3 were pretty much the ones that were interested. I think Houston ended up stepping up, and that was a program where they were stable, constantly in the playoff hunt, just needed some different pieces, and they had a real young, good receiver named DeAndre Hopkins at the time, and they
might have heard of him.
Maybe they shot me a decent offer, and I'm like, man, they basically ain't let me leave. And then the other places didn't really match what it was. So even though it wasn't necessarily the quarterback situation you wanted to be in, but I still got love for my boy Brian Hoyer. He was awesome, man. Cleveland guy, St. Ignatius, I want to say.
That gave y'all a lot to talk about, I'm sure.
Oh man, our end goal was to be coaching together. So really? I need to call him right now because because our agreement was if I'm a head coach, he'll be the OC. If he's the head coach, I'll be the OC. But he ain't answering my phone call. But I'm just playing. He stuff, man. but no, so those were the three that were looking at me. And then it kind of worked in that way. I just wanted somebody stable. You want somewhere you can win, right? You want somewhere, especially when I've been somewhere with so many different ups and downs, so many different quarterbacks, so many different things going on. You wanted some stability, and
Yeah.
those were the three I was thinking about at the time, and those were the three that were looking at me.
For me, man, I kind of always felt like your attitude, your drive, your work ethic, your character kind of fit the Patriots way. It kind of fit what, Bill Belichick does. And then to me, you was a route running assassin. And so like you just kind of fit the mold of being a New England Patriots wide receiver. It was definitely a destination that I kind of saw. I remember, a lot of us saying like maybe Cecil signed with the Browns, but hearing you talk now, man, ain't no way in hell. That's how like Jacksonville 2.0. Like he said, I wasn't doing that. You land on Houston, man, and like you have a wife, you got a family. Did y'all tour the city? How excited was she? Was this someplace? Because you put down roots. You still in Houston, Texas. Like, how was that process? Outside of just signing the contract with the Houston Texans.
It was interesting because we just bought a home in Florida, thinking that's going to be our forever home, right? So we bought that home in Florida, and then I'm like, hey, I'll just get something small right next to the stadium, because the stadium was where we practiced and we played games. So all of us, our stuff was right there, right? All the facilities are right there. So I'm like, hey, I'll just come down, get something small around the city. I mean, near the stadium, and I can walk to work. Basically, I ain't tripping. I don't need to spend a bunch of money. Like, let's just make it work. And so just me that came down for the visit, signed the contract, met everybody, did all the stuff. It was cool, beautiful city, beautiful food. They treated us awesome. So when she came down, she was pregnant with number 3 at the time, and she came down to visit once, and then she came down in preseason, and she loved it. And then she was like, "I'm not going back home," and I'm like, "We just bought a home for a lot of freaking money. You are going home." And we're gonna figure this out. She's like, "No, I'm not going home." So, long story short, she ain't go home. And we ended
Wifey
up selling
won.
our house and making some money off our house, which was cool. But yeah, we've been home ever since, man. Houston's like beautiful. It's just a family friendly place. You can find a good piece of land or a nice house, whatever your budget is, and you can find it affordable for you, and you can still be 15 minutes from the city, 10 minutes from the city, 20 minutes from the city. So it was just been, it worked out well, man. Good food, good people. It's like a melting pot here, all different types of cultures, different looking people. It's just amazing, man. So yeah, it ended up being a good place for us. We ended up going to Tampa. I ended up going to play for Tampa a year or two later, I think 2 years later. And we stayed our roots in Houston. I went there for the season and came back. So yeah, we love the city, man.
Shout out to the Houston Texans, man. They didn't take care of a couple of our hometown guys, Cecil Shorts, Brian Hoyer, who you've seen on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. So I didn't know that y'all had that agreement. That's funny, man. We're gonna have to get y'all on the show at the same time and figure out how we could get y'all both coaching back up here in Cleveland, man. But as we move forward and we talk about the Cleveland Browns, Andrew Berry said it. You've heard the Haslam say it, you've heard Todd Monken say it. The offense needs to be fixed, and that the Cleveland Browns planned on spending a lot of their resources this offseason on the offensive side of the ball. We all know how players are acquired in this league, Cecil, via trade, via free agency, and via of the draft. And right now, of course, the Cleveland Browns, they just made a trade for a former Houston Texans offensive lineman, signed him to a new deal. I can only assume that they looked at the upcoming free agent market or whatever happened at the combine and said, you know what, this is the best course of action for us. So just seeing where the Cleveland Browns are as a football team, me and you kind of had a discussion about guys that's on our personal wish list, guys that we feel like could be a fit for the Cleveland Browns and might even be a legit, realistic option. So, I'll let you start first. Who was the primary guy when we had this conversation that you said, you know what, I would love to see the Cleveland Browns go after?
Well, when you let me start here. When you bring in a guy like Titus Howard, he's somebody that can play guard tackle, right? He brings some versatility to the game. He's solid. He's solid. Not a superstar, but he's somebody that can get the job done, and does it at a high level when his number is called. He's been a staple for the offensive line with the Texans for a while, right? He's kind of been the only guy that's been consistent over the years. Him and Larry Tunsil, till they got rid of Larry Tunsil. that's kind of been around and been able to get the job done. So you bring him in, somebody can get the job done. That kind of helps your offensive line, helps your quarterback, helps your running game, right? So you get a little bit more confidence. But to continue to add to that, I think you need Tyler Linderbaum, and the familiarity that he has running a offense with Coach Monken. You know what I mean? I think that's critical to have somebody that understands what it needs to be done, how it needs to be done, in the offense, the same terminology, literally the same type of stuff that he ran in Baltimore, he'll be running here. So I think it'll only benefit him as a player, because that's one of the hard things to do when you go from one city to the next city playing for a team, like understanding different terminology, understanding how they want things done, understanding the culture, understanding different leadership roles, understanding all this stuff. Well, he already knows what to do because he's been a part of the organization with Todd Monken. So I think he would be critical, man. He's somebody that's 25 years old, I think, and is just a stud at his position. So if you can bring him in, it doesn't matter what's going on. You should feel a lot more confident going into the year with Titus Howard on one side and then Tyler in the middle.
Yeah, I think we've talked about Tyler Linderbaum on our show in the past. I know I've talked about him on other platforms. I don't know how likely it is that the Cleveland Browns can sign Tyler Linderbaum. It's going to cost you a whole lot of money. And I think if the Browns have the money to throw at that problem, I absolutely 1000% would make that move. He's young. He's an all-pro, Pro Bowl center, very smart, very intelligent. As you alluded to, he knows what Todd Monken wants to do, and he can help be that on-field coach to kind of help teach up those young offensive linemen like a Zach Zinter, for example, who has struggled to get on the field when Kevin Stefanski was the head coach. ESPN has him ranked as their number 2 overall free agent this year out of 100. And it says, what does he bring? Linderbaum brings a tone-setting mentality to the interior of the front, using elite foot speed and body control to match pass rushers or climb to the second level in the run game. His pass block win rate of 97.2%, tied for the second among 31 qualifying centers last season. You got Howard there, and I love Howard's versatility. He can play tackle or guard, which kind of gives you flexibility when it comes to guys like Zach Zinter or DeJuan Jones, pending his health. You got Linderbaum there. Let's say that Shedeur Sanders, by all accounts, is your starting quarterback for 2026. You got a young quarterback, second year in the NFL, first year inside the Todd Monken system. You want somebody on the offensive line that can call the checks at the line of scrimmage, that can slide the protection and help your young quarterback not go through as many growing pains learning a new system that some people would. So I can definitely see Tyler Linderbaum being high on your list. He's high on my list. I have heard the reports that the Ravens is throwing a boatload of money at him, and the New York Giants are players as well. When it comes to the wide receiver position, you had a wide receiver out there. I looked at the wide receiver list. First of all, let me say this. According to Spotrac, right, when I look at these unrestricted free agents, the one guy that you mentioned at first glance is the only guy that really, really interests me as far as he's a baller, and I feel like he can come in here and make an immediate impact. We had talked about him. There are 2 guys on this list in my mind to where I like the element of the unknown sometimes, right? When we talk about certain players, I kind of think I have an idea of who they are. Then there's certain guys to where it's like, they still young enough. We don't know who they are. But the one guy that you brought up just won his first Super Bowl, Rashid Shaheed. You look at the 2025 season, 59 receptions, 687 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's all through the air. We all know he's a beast in the return game. He's one of those dual threats, man. He kind of reminds you of a mini Percy Harvin in so many ways, man. So, talk about Rashid Shaheed and why you feel like that'll be the right fit for the Browns.
I think 2 reasons. One, you need an explosive playmaker on offense, and he's a quality deep threat. Just that simple. Quality deep threat. He can take the top off of any defense. 2, this is probably why I picked him, honestly. 2, special teams. Your special teams with the Cleveland Browns were flat out terrible in every aspect. It was games where we fumbled punts 2 times in a row. There were games where we missed field goals. There were games where we were blocked. It was just unbelievable. So I think it's going to be a point of emphasis moving forward. But when you put a playmaker back there, like Shaheed, who anytime he touches the ball, he can take it to the play, take it to the house. Anytime he touches the ball, he's a threat. So not just a threat on first, second, and third down. He's a threat when the other teams have fourth down. So I think it's a really big deal that you're able to get that done, possibly. But is he the most polished receiver? No, he's not. He's not. He's not. But you would have to use him for that. You would use him for the deep shots, the big post, the goes down the field, the explosive plays going. And I think that can help you. But for me, I picked him because I think he's more realistic to get, right? I think if you look, I think Alex Pierce possibly is a big name out there from the Colts.
Yeah.
Explosive as well, but I think he'll go for a ton of money. Somewhere, if it's not the Colts, somewhere else with a big time money. I think Shaheed's more realistic for you to get a big threat down the field, return game specialist, and then you can continue to add depth with either in a draft or possibly free agency.
So when I consider what Andrew Berry likes to do as far as when he signs free agents, the type of free agents he signed, the age, things like that, I see Shaheed as being one of those guys who fit the bill. Not only that, he's a slot wide receiver. And I think Titans did a great job of, kind of laying out how important that slot wide receiver is in Todd Monken's system. And he's a guy that has, he can impact the game because he's a gamer. He's a baller. He always can get the ball in his hands and be able to make a play. Big play ability, big play threat. And that's something that the Browns lack, that explosiveness, right? You look at the other receivers out here, and I can't really see somebody. I mean, Alec Pierce, yeah, but I really feel like the Colts is going to do whatever they can to try to hold on to him.
Yep.
If I'm going a free agent route, because I got a couple guys that I would trade for, but if I was going a free agent route and I was taking a flyer on somebody, Jahan Dotson is a guy that I might want to take a flyer on. He about 6'1", 6'2", come out of Penn State, played in the Big Ten. We seen him his rookie year in Washington. It wasn't that bad. I don't know what happened the first 2 years there to where he ended up off that team and in Philly. We all know how Philly's offense is. It's more of a run-dominant offense. You're really not getting too many opportunities with the wide receivers that they do have here. Dallas Goedert is a huge part of their passing game. And so I don't know. I mean, he's 25 years old. I think that would be a guy that I would definitely be interested in signing to maybe a 1 year, 2 year deal and see if I can get something out of him. Another guy that is on this list, former first round pick, Trey Burke. He just played for the Titans, didn't really pan out to be much of anything. But again, another big body wide receiver, a guy that I think that can be very physical, and I wouldn't mind taking a flyer on. Now, earlier today, we both know that the Buffalo Bills traded for DJ Moore. They ended up giving up a second-round pick. I thought that was a solid move. I actually wouldn't even be surprised if Stephon Diggs ends up back in Buffalo as well, by the way, or a guy like a Mike Evans, because I think, honest to God, I think they're doing whatever they can to make sure that Josh Allen got more weapons on that side of the ball, and it can't be excuses. No matter how good Josh Allen is, man, his pass catchers was not all of that. And you seen that he really needed that. But speaking of Buffalo, I'm thinking about a trade for a Keon Coleman. I am intrigued with the youth. I'm intrigued with the size. The dude is 6'4", over 200 pounds. I'm intrigued with the athleticism. He does need to take his career a little bit more serious than what he do. He does need to be a little bit more mature. He needs to, be a little bit more responsible with everything that entails being a professional athlete. I think he is young enough, and a fresh start just might do him some justice. And I feel like he is one of those guys that kind of fit the mold of what Andrew Berry likes to take a chance on. He might look at that I can trade a 5th round pick, 4th round pick for Coleman. It's one of those low risk, high reward type situations. I think he'll have another year or so left on his rookie contract. If it don't work out, you can just move on for him. But that's a guy that really, really intrigues me. I think he's very, very passionate. I just think that he needs to learn how to be a pro. But I do think it's a good football player in there. What you think?
I think that's interesting. Who's the receiver coach for the Browns?
Christian Jones got promoted from tight ends coach to wide receivers coach.
So he was already on staff last year.
Yeah.
So I'm interested. Definitely the talent is there. I think the biggest thing is who else is going to be in that room to help him develop as far as maturity wise, right?
Mhm.
That's where you need the big homies, right? That's where you need the older vets in the room because the talent speak for itself. My gosh, like there's nothing he can't really do. It's just about him mentally staying into it, being mentally tough, and then learning how to continue to be a professional, right? Coming into the league, everybody loved his silliness, everybody loved his outgoingness, right? But at some point, you have to learn, like you have to balance that with production on the field, and when that outweighs your production, then you become your value goes down, right?
Yeah.
So he just needs to learn. I'm with you. I'm not against taking the flyer on him. I just think he can't be the only one you bring in, if that makes sense. He has to come in with some other guys that help him out in that room because that room is young, if I'm not mistaken. That room is
very young.
Really no quality. I was gonna say really no experienced vets in that room besides Jerry Jeudy, really. So yeah, I would love to take a flyer on him. I think he'll be cheap. I think you can get him for less than a fourth or a fifth rounder. Honestly, I think you might get him for a sixth or a seventh. That's just me because of all the stuff we heard in the media, right? So if you can get him for cheap, man, you in good shape because like you said, it's only up. He doesn't work out great on a rookie deal. You can cut him, not that much money at all. But if he turns out like he's supposed to, former second round pick, that shows some glimpses his rookie year. Like, hey, now you got some big body guy has played in the cold before, can go up and get the ball. Somebody that's physical that can block. Like the talent is there. Like you mentioned, though, just about the maturity and him learning how to be a pro. And you need a top-notch receiver coach, and you need some veterans in that room. So if that receiver coach can step up and really do good things with him, great. If you can bring in a vet or two on top of Jerry Jeudy to help him out, I think. And the vet don't got to be a starter, right? The vet can be a 5 guy, 6 guy. There's somebody that can help him come along and grow.
All right. So before we get out of here, I just want to go through a couple lists real quick. So Zach Jackson of The Athletic, he dropped a list with 26 players that he connected to the Cleveland Browns, said nothing is absolute. I put together a list of a few offensive linemen, a few wide receivers. Since we're talking wide receivers, we might as well stay there. Here's 4 guys that ended up on that list from Zach Jackson of The Athletic. Wan'Dale Robinson, Michael Pittman Jr., Keon Coleman, Romeo Doubs. And of this list, I think Wan'Dale Robinson is a baller, but I have no interest in a 5'8" wide receiver.
Yeah.
We just talked about Keon Coleman. I think Romeo Doubs is going to cost too much. Michael Pittman Jr. is another guy that is intriguing to me. I think that Alec Pierce is going to be their top priority. And, based on what I read, they're going to prioritize re-signing him, which clearly means that Michael Pittman becomes available for trade. Again, another big body wide receiver who can be a red zone target for you and somebody that can just get physical. I am tired of either these short wide receivers or these guys that don't really have no muscle mass to them, right? I want me another big physical wide receiver, and the Browns got the opportunity to might be able to do that. Couple offensive linemen that was kind of linked to the Browns, and kind of like, check this out. Braxton Jones, Elijah Vera Tucker, Daniel, I think it's Falali, and Cade Mays. Now, Cade Mays played guard, tackle, and he played some center. So if we can't sign Tyler Linderbaum, Cade Mays comes with a lot of versatility. But Elijah Vera Tucker is the guy that stands out to me the most. He did not play in 2025. I think he's like 25 years old, man. If you check out his PFF grades from the 2024 season, he graded out as a pretty damn good tackle. And I think that, again, he fits the mold of one of these guys that the Cleveland Browns always like to give chances to. Guys either coming off injuries looking to prove something, or guys who really just didn't have success at their previous stop looking to probably revitalize their career. If you could somehow sign that guy, probably still get you another offensive lineman in the draft, now you're doing exactly what Andrew Berry talked about the Chicago Bears doing. You are going to get the opportunity to develop the young guys that's here. That's the Luke Whippler. That's the DeJuan Jones, right? Now you got Titus Howard that you traded for. You don't know the status of Joe Batonio right now. You still got Zach Zinter here. And if you can add a lineman or two via free agency, then that'll work. Another offensive lineman that came up, and a guy that I know that you liked a lot was the offensive tackle from the Green Bay Packers, Rasheed Walker, who could be another option for the Cleveland Browns. As we get ready to wrap up this show, do you see the Cleveland Browns adding another offensive lineman via free agency, another one coming via trade? How you see that playing out? Who you like?
I think you gotta bring in 2 or 3. Like I think you can't go into this season and you need offensive line help. I think before the draft, you got to bring in 2. One of them got to be a guy that you believe can be a day one starter. The other one probably compete for a spot, right? I think you like what you see from your younger guys, but they haven't been consistent. They haven't been healthy enough, right? Dwan Jones is somebody so intriguing to me, but he has not lasted a full season yet.
Right.
So you got to bring in somebody that can be consistent, that can be healthy. Your best ability is your availability. So finding guys that can be available for you week in and week out. And then honestly, I'm not against bringing in 4 total, maybe 2 in free agency, 1 through a trade, and 1 or 2 through a draft. Right? So you got to bring in guys. You have to bring in quality guys to be able to compete and protect your quarterback and be able to run the football. So I think you have to address that. That's probably the main thing you have to address outside of receiver. O-line and receiver, you have to fix those things coming into this year.
Big facts, man. Again, NFL new league year kicks off next Wednesday at 4 p.m. That is March 11th. The legal tampering period starts on the 9th, which is this upcoming Monday. And this is a fun time of year. If you're a pending free agent, this is a fun time of year. If you're a fan, you get to see your favorite team, with the opportunity to improve their roster. Last thing before we get out of here, man, it's only going to take a minute or two. We tend to always end our show with a final thought or a word or so. And the last segment I got is called In the Land. I'm pretty sure you got your ear to the ground on what's going on here at home. But a few days ago, 2 bodies of 2 young girls was discovered behind Keon Academy. We kind of are familiar with that being the old Margaret Spellacy Middle School. And I think it was today that the mother, 28-year-old mother, was arrested and charged with murder in connection of that crime. And I just want to say this, man, like, we as a community failed those 2 little girls. We as a community, regardless of, I don't know who was in the school system, I don't know who didn't do enough to check in and see what was going on, but it is a damn shame that we are looking up in our city yet again with this type of horrific story about 2 people who not even really getting the opportunity to begin life, have their life taken away. I don't know what type of mental issues the mom had. I don't know what type of depression she was going through or whatever it is in her life that she felt like it was that bad. But I really, really wish somebody would have stepped up and did something. And it puts me in a space to where it'd be like, man, damn, we really, really got to do more as a community to stop this stuff from happening. So, I just want to send my thoughts and prayers out, to the family of those 2 little girls. And, God got 2 angels, and just, it's a dark cloud over this city. A lot of people in the city of Cleveland heard this story and they kind of felt that to their heart. So, thoughts and prayers to everybody. And, that's pretty much all I can say. It was just something that was on my heart. Yeah. So, on that note, man, y'all be great, spread love. Based on what we just talked about, just remember, spreading love is priceless. I promise to God it is. Spreading love is priceless, man. Being great come with a price. Spreading love is priceless. Till next time, Earl of Pearl, Cecil Shorts, man. We out here. Thank you for watching the latest episode of the Ultimate 216 Show. Peace. We love y'all.